Hi, it's Mandy back with another video. Today I want to speak to parents out there and caregivers who have children who are diagnosed with autism spectrum disorders. The last video I did was an overview of socialization behaviors in kids that are diagnosed with spectrum disorders and kids that potentially are not diagnosed with spectrum disorders. If you've observed other children who are interacting with, we call it reciprocal play, and different types of interactive skills through activities and play dates and involvement in the community, you might see a quality of interaction that resonates with you, that you understand to be appropriate and gratifying. What I want to say to you is to consider a different lens in looking at your child who's diagnosed with an autism spectrum disorder about specifically their quality of social interaction, in that what do they perceive is a quality reciprocal social interaction, right? Sometimes when we observe these kids, right, 5 to, I'm going to even go to maybe 14, we might see peer interactions that look heartbreaking to us when there's not that same level of reciprocity or engagement. But then if you ask your child who's diagnosed afterwards, did they have a good time or did they think it was a great, activity, they might say yes. Through your lens, you probably wonder how, when you see the person maybe who the play date was with or the activity who was not diagnosed with a spectrum disorder, didn't sort of warm up perhaps to your child, and it doesn't feel good to you, but you wonder how your child could have perceived that as a successful activity. If you haven't watched my last video, like I mentioned, go ahead back and take a look at that video, because in my experience, what I've seen with kids who are diagnosed with autism spectrum disorders is the quality of their perceived social interaction relies heavily on the preferred activity or the activity that they are interested in. For example, if they're paired with a peer who does not have an autism spectrum disorder, and they're going to see a movie that your child picked, okay, and the other child may or may not have liked that movie too much, you may evidence or see very little social communication, even, in the car ride to the movie, in the car ride home. Maybe the other peer says, hey, thanks, you can take me home now after the movie, and doesn't want to maybe do the next suggested activity. And you might think that this is really devastating, but when you ask your child if they had a good time, they say yes. And you wonder, how can that be so when you just didn't kind of feel the clicking or the vibing, so to speak? And so this is why, if your child, that was a preferred movie for your child is, I think, pairing the desired activity with the companionship. And in their mind, it feels like it was a success. So the question then becomes, how do you gauge your child's social success? Is it through your lens or through theirs? They might be very different perceptions of what a quality social interaction might be. Now, I think on the other end of that, there might be situations or more situations where the child and you, the parent, can agree upon what is not a successful social interaction. And I'm talking maybe some more of the extremes where there might be some bullying going on or kids making fun. And even in those cases, oftentimes your child might not perceive that as being a non-successful interaction. And so that's another topic for another day, about the perception of that. But thinking about when your child feels like they've had a successful social interaction or activity, consider, what your gauge of success is versus theirs. And I think that you might feel a little bit better that they may be happier than you project that they might be feeling. So I hope that this was helpful, and maybe I will make another video on the other extreme that I mentioned in the near future. Thanks for watching.